All right, joining the desk, two former NFL players, Bryan and Bucky Brooks. Marcellus, we'll start with you. I think we're going over the top here. I've got some sympathy for Vontaze Burfict. I think the criticism's over the top.
I have no sympathy for him. His reputation precedes him because his actions have given him this reputation. Chappelle Show, man, he's a habitual line stepper. Like, he continues to be the guy that commits these acts. And this isn't his first time. This is not his second time. It's not his third time. It's not even his fourth time. At least his fifth time, he's been suspended twice for multiple violations, and then a 3-game, a 5-game reduced to a 3-game. And now we see this after all of that.
We see Jesse Bates go helmet to helmet on Antonio Brown.
We do, but we also see the intent, and we also see that this is the same victim and the same culprit that occurred last year when we saw them in the playoffs, but that time he did knock him out. So if I'm the NFL, I have to stop this right now, because if you let Vontaze Burfict get away with this, it invites others.
A forearm.
A forearm. That's not a
Bryan, please. Come on, Bryan.
A forearm.
Please, Bryan.
Knock you out.
I could not disagree anymore. Here's my point on the play. Everybody's blowing this play up, but at the end of the day, if AB goes down and doesn't fight for extra yards, none of this ever happens. Until I hear a whistle, I'm trying to knock you out, decapitate you, do whatever. This is not a dirty play. And I'm sorry, Joe Thomas, I love Joe Thomas. I was on the staff in Cleveland with him. But when you play ball until you hear a whistle. This is not it. So I'm not going to sit up here and play with a man's livelihood, especially since I was a guy like that. If Pittsburgh had issues with him, go get him on the bus. Go to his car and get him after the game. So it's easy that you can sit up and talk to the media talking about what a dirty player. But as I said when I was here last week, if I had issue with you, nobody was stopping me from coming to get you.
Bryan, I expected that from you.
But that's it.
You can't see the forest from the trees, brother, because that's who you are. That's in your lens. That's how you get
The whistle hadn't blown on Marcellus.
Hold on. Are we using arms and legs now?
Tell him to go down. If he don't want to get hit in the head,
If he doesn't go down, can you kick him? Can you kick him? No, you can't.
I would.
Can you throw a forearm?
You can throw a
you can throw a forearm.
Forearm to the dome?
You can finish him off. All he did was top him off. All he needs to do is go down. Look, wide receivers know there's a soft spot for you to land if you don't want to get hit. But if you're going to fight for yards, then it's the defensive job duty to knock him out. And even though we have these new rules or whatever, when the whistle is blown and the ball is teed up, you got to play football. He cannot go easy on AB. And also remember, the heated nature of this rivalry. It is personal. There are a couple games a year on the schedule that are personal. This is a personal game for the Cincinnati Bengals. We've seen how the Pittsburgh Steelers have escalated it on their side. Vontaze Burfict did his job.
And if they want it, and let me just add this point to it.
Old school.
Let me add this point to it as well.
Old school.
How many defensive players, not even defensive players, how many players in the league has come out and say this league gone soft? There was just an offensive player complaining the other day about it. At what point can I be a football player and try to decleat you, try to decapitate you? Until I hear that whistle, I'm headhunting.
Have you ever heard of a penalty
That's a little strong.
No.
Let
him keep digging this grave.
That's a little strong.
But that's true, though. Because of the nature of the rivalry, what we talked about last week, there were going to be some things that were going to be suspect. That's not one of them. When you look at that picture, if AB wants to go down, it's another call.
Even in a rivalry, there are standards. There's
no
still
standards.
rules.
Ain't no
There's still fines and penalties that will be enforced.
So if Vontaze Burfict went at him like he went at Matt Leinart, we're okay with that?
No. Look,
so at some point, I got to be able to hit you. I can't hit you high. No. I can't hit you low. Where am I supposed to hit you while we're going full speed?
Have you ever heard of something? I'm sure you probably were certainly a multiple infraction. Unnecessary roughness. You ever heard of unnecessary roughness?
Did they get a penalty on that?
No, and that's the point. So even without a penalty in that moment, we have to still go out there and look at this and say, who is the guy? And what is his intent in this moment? And what was he trying to do?
That's
not football.
That's Burfict hysteria that's been driven by people that don't know anything about football. And again, you do know a lot, and you played the game.
No,
I can't toss you into that bucket. But we've all gone overboard, and we're looking for the bad guy. The guy threw an elbow. I'll say this. If Joe Thomas and everybody wants to, and you want to jump on some pedestal and be better than everybody, hold Marvin Lewis and Mike Brown accountable, not Vontaze Burfict.
Why?
No, I'm saying, if you're going to get upset, Find them, and I guarantee you his play will change.
But why?
Yeah.
Why
Because,
what?
I'm not with
because
that.
to me, name one issue that the guy has gotten into trouble off the field.
No, we talking about controlling his on-field behavior.
About playing football, you expect me somehow in a game of emotion to hit that switch and turn it off and be the nice guy.
A lot of guys do. Brian.
You can have a game.
That's a lot of guys.
You can have a game.
That's a lot of guys. But when I'm playing football, again, my mindset and the way I play comes from Joe Green. And if you know anything about Joe Green, they didn't call him mean for no reason. That guy would elbow people, punch people. He taught me not to complain if I was getting held. He said, punch him in the ribs. So I became my own official when I played football. And all I'm saying, if all these tough guys, these offensive linemen, talking all this trash about what is happening and who should be doing, go do something about it.
Hold on, man. Why don't you evolve, brother? I mean,
no
the game is evolved. We used to head slap.
I see
And
football
me,
the
Joe
way I
Green
see
used
it.
to head slap. And now go out there and try to head slap, see what happens to you.
I got away with it a few times.
You got away with it, but it wasn't the decorum.
I see football as still a gladiator sport, and it's cleaned up when it comes to the quarterbacks. It's cleaned up when it comes to the head-to-head contact. It's cleaned up in some areas. But there's some plays that you have to play football until that whistle blows. And until that whistle blows, I'm trying to do
I want to circle back to my point, and I'll leave you out of this, Brian. Listen, if they want to control Vontaze Burfict, why not go after Mike Brown and Marvin Lewis? Because as I sat here and thought about this deal, I was like, Vontaze Burfict, he's a dirty player. Mm-hmm. He could hurt somebody. And to me, Bengals and Marvin Lewis, they should be held responsible if that happens.
They could be held responsible, but here's what I'll tell you about the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals have built a team that is a contender by taking gambles on character risks. This is what they've always done. When they built the team up, when they were winning with Ocho Cinco and T.J. Hushmanzada, they had a bunch of questionable character guys on that team. And the reason they've been able to accumulate those guys, because they take guys that other teams won't take. And Marvin Lewis has done a good job of corralling those guys and getting those guys to move in the right direction, which is why they've won a lot of games. And if you look at that team and you look at it objectively, they're the team that should come out the AFC North. They're the team that should beat the Pittsburgh Steelers when it's all said and done because they have more talent. And one thing that you can't legislate out the game is the intimidation factor. You can't hit people high over the middle of the field. Well, the one thing you know when you play Cincinnati, Vontaze Burfict is lurking. And that is going to dissuade some people from lurking, from going across the middle. If I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, I talk to them, but then I tell them, hey, bro, keep knocking.
My thing is we saying we should go after Marvin Lewis and go after the owner. What has the man done off the field to disrespect,
No, this is about on the field. This is about on the field.
Within the organization.
Go play ball.
He's given up $4 million in fines for illegal hits.
How does that affect anybody but him? That's $4 million of his dollars.
Suspensions. The time missed is hurting the team.
That's $4 million of his dollars.
But he's still missing time from the team. And if you're a valuable piece of the team, we need you, bro.
Okay, but I'm saying this is not one of those things, in my opinion.
I agree. This hit is not it, but I'm saying there are.
We're talking about go after the organization.
We're talking about safety.
The
league has prioritized safety, and they put all the burden on the players about safety. I'm saying let's move it off the field if you really want to see things change. Dock Marvin Lewis's pay. Find Mike
Jason,
Brown.
It's never come from the top. I played with Rodney Harrison, one of my best boys playing, and it never came from the coaching staff. It never came from the organization to either put gas on that fire or to pump the brakes on his actions. It never is legislated from those surrounding. Rodney was out there doing what Rodney wanted to do, and we all had to either deal with it or just get out the way because Rodney was going to give you a message in every single play he was out there. But when you say accountability and it's coming from up top, I just never seen it happen. I played with one of them.
Never seen it happen, but it needs to start rather than climbing into the player's pocket.
I think that we, as the media, don't necessarily recognize how fast things happen out there. Sometimes on some of these hits, it's not intent that I'm going to headhunt. It's how fast it's moving, and that's where I find myself. To me, at some point, you have to be a football player. I agree there have been some things that have been questionable in his past on the field where he's headhunting and some of the things that he's done. But you're talking about a man that's not been in trouble off the field. So we're talking about football. At what point are we going to allow physical football to
Bryan,
be physical
I
football?
love you too much, but stop the fallacy. I'm tired of us highly trained athletes saying, man, it happens so fast we don't
Now,
get
you
it.
played up there with the big boys. You wasn't nowhere back there.
Yeah,
Hold on,
it's
number
fake.
one defense, and thank you. When
But you
y'all
wasn't
came
back
in,
there
y'all
how
felt it
fast.
too. Here's the thing, Bryan, admit this. Have you ever been on the football field and then you see somebody that's coming and you know him beyond the game? Like, that's your boy.
I ain't never pulled up.
Oh, I ain't say you pulled up.
never
Have you
pulled
ever?
up.
I said,
I
has this
tried
ever
to
happened?
take 'em.
Has this ever happened on the football field? Because I certainly heard it. Oh, man, you lucky, boy. I could have got you so good.
No.
You ain't never heard that?
I'm saying.
You know why?
I'm
Because
saying,
there are times when you know, I could do this a different way. And we think faster than we're moving, bro. Come on now.
Ask Shannon Sharp. One time I got him real good. Ask him if I pulled up.
Oh,
Ask Eric Dickerson if I pulled
we also
up
got the big
when I
brother,
got
little
him
brother
good.
rivalry. We trying to kill you. But there are times when you're like, I can manipulate
I
this
can't
moment.
speak to that. I ain't pulling up.
I just think the game moves so fast that it's hard to let some of that contact out.
All right, we